Salutations, nerds! We're watching the MCU in all its glory.
Welcome back, everyone, to our show, Phased Out, the show designed to make Nick hate Jared and I.
This weirdly might be the one. I don't know. We'll find out.
It kind of feels more tense, but we thought that about Winter Soldier, and it just wasn't that. So, I'm Jake, that's Jared, that's Nick. Lost my place. Hold on.
He's aging,
What
folks.
movie did we watch, Jake?
Oh, I forgot, just because it's so damn dull. This week we are watching. We watched Age of Ultron, probably the most popular movie in the list, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most viewed in cinemas.
It's up there. I think it's the lowest grossing Avengers movie, though, isn't it?
It's not
Overall.
difficult, though.
No. It still made a lot of money because it's an Avengers movie. That's
Yeah.
what they do.
So,
And also, we didn't know any better at that time. We were like, oh, the first one was fun.
Well, it's the same effect with albums from artists. Sometimes the bad albums, you're like, how did it sell that much? It's because the album before it was good. So everyone flocks to buy it. And then it's like, why is this bad album sell so well? And it's like, why did this good album after it not so well? Because everyone was upset about the bad album.
See, and Jake keeps calling this movie boring, and I think I know why. I think the biggest issue with this movie is there's just so much stuff that doesn't need to be in it. It's
so bloated.
It's so much longer than it needs to be. There's so much extra, and some of that extra is great. Like the scene between Clint and Scarlet Witch, one of the best scenes in the MCU, in my opinion. Does it
if
need
you
to be
walk
there?
out that
Not
door,
really.
you are an Avenger.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't really need to be there because it's one moment she doubts herself and the next moment she's fine. You can just taken that out. But it makes for a great moment. There's a whole doctor in this movie that I forgot existed in the MCU.
Dr. Cho.
Yeah. Doctor appealed to the Asian market like they did in Iron Man 2. I didn't watch that version of Iron Man 2, though. I thought that was the version on Disney Plus, but it wasn't. There's doctors in, I think, Japan. In Iron Man 2, I think it is, only a certain version of it. There's one MCU movie where there's like a whole side plot of doctors where they put them in to appeal to the Asian market. They did to this movie as well by putting a popular Asian actress in it. They could have, although, made her a character that exists in comics at all. Like, why won't you do that? Everybody else is a character that exists in comics. Just give her a name. Even in Hulk, you have Amadeus Cho, who is a version of Incredible Hulk. They gave him a name just to give him a name. But anyway, I forgot that she existed. In
Same.
This movie. When she was in the party, I looked up and I was like,
Who's that?
who is this person in this party?
Well, and like there's a big deal about one of the bots, Iron Legion, not killing her at the piano. And it's supposed to be very important. It's because, he needs her later for the thing. But that comes so much later, and we get like no scenes of her without an Avenger there talking to her.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything.
No. Again, it's just an insert.
I remember when I watched this movie in theaters, there was so much of it. I didn't understand this movie. I didn't understand the plot structure of getting from A to B the first couple of times I watched it.
That's the thing. There's so much in it. Even like Strucker is a massive comic book character. They do nothing with him. To the point where he just surrenders right away. Like he's just like, all right.
And then
I'm
he's
done.
dead off screen.
Yeah, then he's dead off screen. Like he's a massive comic book character, and there's like, whatever. He's just disposable in this one. Claw is in this movie. Massive comic book character. Great in the very little bit he's in here.
Claw, Andy Serkis?
Andy Serkis, yeah.
Okay.
Great in the very little he gets, but didn't need to be in this movie.
And then he's not in the MCU again until Black Panther.
Exactly, and then he's gone.
Halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
He has what? 15 minutes of screen time in this universe?
Total. It makes an impression, especially in Black Panther.
Oh, he's fun.
Yeah, he's so fun in that movie. You get a glimpse of that here, but not really.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, and this is setting up Civil War.
Yeah.
It's Tony preemptively stopping a war. The whole, everyone who tries to stop war before it happens, that whole thing. That should be way more important, or at least done way better, because it's just, he talks Banner into doing it at the beginning, the AI thing, very easily.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is such a big deal, and we get a little montage of them working. It's like we don't need to see every step, but we don't even get more conversations about what they're doing because they don't understand this technology, and they shouldn't be.
8 million other things to put in the movie, Jerry. You don't have time for that.
9 or 10 years later. 9 or 10 years later.
9.
9 years later, it's funny to hear them say AI intelligence or artificial intelligence. I don't know if we should mess with that. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're over here. What does an elf look like?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then later in the movie, here's the thing: it's like the stuff with the base, the party, and then it's just chasing Ultron, and then all of a sudden it's again, oh, we have to recreate this for the body we stole.
Yeah,
it's steal the body. Let's do this again.
Oh, no.
One? It's like
more convoluted than that. He goes to the fastest data point in the world, randomly finds Jarvis there, and decides to put Jarvis in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can trust this. And I'm like, this is stupid.
This is how it started.
And that's what Banner says to him, like, no. This is what happened last time. He's like, no, we're good this time. He gets him instantly. He's like, it was funny, like you want me to help you put the... No, I want to help you put him in the body.
You're way better at the biomechanical stuff.
There should be more weight to it. There should be this feeling of like, you have to convince me that this is heavy and that this is important, and it's really quick because there's no time given to it. And so when they're all fighting each other in that scene, it should be way more important, and it's not.
That's the thing. I think all the scenes are great in this movie. Like, most of the scenes are really fun and good. It's just the story they're telling is so messy and so jumbled.
It's a clip show.
It is. And I think all the clips are great. But the story they're telling with those clips is real bad.
The Hulk fight is probably my least favorite of the fights. Not for what they show. It's more of like, okay, they are creating so much more destruction, and they don't need to. Like, he's throwing them into buildings, and I know the whole, like, let's buy this building real quick. There's no one there. It's like, yeah, but how many people did you kill already?
None, Jared. Do you know why?
Why?
Because of Man of Steel.
Oh, that's right.
The backlash of them ripping through Metropolis. So they got to put in my favorite thing they put in superhero movies, them being heroes. You get to see them clear out a city, make sure everybody's safe. Hey, yeah, I know there's robots tearing the city apart, but let's get that family to safety first. We got to make sure everybody lives.
That's one of the good parts of this movie, though.
But that's one of the parts that people complained about when this movie came out.
Oh, I complained about it.
A lot of people. That was the biggest gripe of this movie is they spent so much time showing them saving people. I was like, yeah, but you don't see that in superhero movies. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, but that's also a main main contention in the Sokovia Accords.
I know.
Like, that's smart to me.
I agree.
That is,
believe me, I agree.
That is not.
But when this movie came out, because it was a backlash reaction to Man of Steel, people like you did it too much in the other direction. But I think it works not thinking about that backlash back then.
Yeah, you really can't compare the two universes.
Yeah, but people did.
Well,
who are you talking about, Jake? That's all people do.
When the movie came out and I saw it in theaters, I remember thinking, like, because the first movie to me at the time felt like most of the battle in New York is them saving people instead of fighting the aliens. Because I wouldn't say that's really, it's about I'd say 2/3 is fighting the alien, the Chitauri, and the other third is the saving people. There's not as much. But I remember being like, no, just fight the aliens. And then this one, it's like,
it's all the same.
We're doing the same thing, but now we're focusing so much on the people. Can they just cut loose? Because that's what I liked the beginning action scene. They're just cutting loose.
Yeah.
Now, in this time, it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That climax is way too long.
Way too long.
It's like 40 minutes long.
But, like, there's so much of it that I love. And there's so many little bits of it that are like, you could take this out. You could take that out. You could take that out.
I paused it when Friday says Sokovia is going for a ride, and there's like an hour left.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's crazy. That's like right around the time I took my dog out, and also I was like, there's an hour left. I mean, I'm having a fun ride, but an hour, we're just now getting to the final battle.
I like the fight at the church.
Yeah.
They're protecting the little funny button of doom. Mm-hmm. Except, out of all these cool, you have Thor kicking someone, you have Vision doing his Vision thing, flying around, Cap doing the most unnecessary spin.
I know.
It's so dumb.
I know.
He doesn't push down on that shield with any sort of thrust.
It's really
either.
funny, but whatever. And but because it's that shot. Then it cuts to like the cool angles, and then it shows
Nat.
No.
Oh, they don't. She's got one in the headlock and she's shooting it. It's one of my favorite quick
but
shots.
that's just funny. I'm talking about Clint throwing his little bow. It's so stupid. It's like, what's that going to do?
It's a very classic movie trope where, like, you mention the dumb thing and the audience doesn't think it's dumb. And they do it a lot, and here was, I'm just a dude with a bow and arrow. But he says it so earnestly, it works so well in this movie every time he says it.
The back and forth the whole movie between him and Quicksilver is another one of the good things.
I think this is probably his strongest performance in the MCU. He is so good in this movie. Weird that I forgot that he is really good in this movie. And he's got a lot to do. I also love the stuff with his wife.
Yeah, that's...
So
well, it's Linda Cardellini.
I know, she's great in everything.
Yes.
But like,
I feel bad for Aaron Taylor Johnson because he's a good actor.
and he's not bad in this movie.
No, but this version of Quicksilver is not great.
No.
And the running looks bad. And what
like
makes
the
it
running
worse,
effect.
you know what makes it worse? It was done better the year before in Days of
So,
Future Past.
I really like the running effect in this movie, and I also like Wanda's magic, especially in this movie, because later on it turns into these big red misty things, and this one is just very faint, like lines of red, and I much prefer that over the strong, hard lines of red that come out of her going forward.
Is it... I can't think of anything you're talking about to compare it to, but is it...
Like
because when it's faint, it's more like she's in control of whatever
kind of.
she's doing.
In WandaVision, it looks like she's shooting a repulsor beam, but it's red magic. Whereas this, it looks very unique to her. And even that one in WandaVision, you have her and Agatha doing the same laser beams at each other as you get in every other Marvel thing.
What happened to the Agatha show we were going to get?
It's still coming out.
Okay.
They've changed the name a couple times, but they're just making it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get it when we get it.
Yeah, I think it's next year. Is its release date? I think it's the first thing we get next year. So.
Are we ready for
the Quicksilver thing? The Quicksilver the discussion?
Oh,
that scene? That's what I was
talking about. That I was talking about my thing with the whole movie.
I'd say let's get the Quicksilver thing out of the way while we're talking about him.
Okay.
His death is stupid.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I know everyone says that, but like...
Even watching it this time, I was like, I hate that.
When it's like, why didn't he just grab them?
I know.
And move, or push them, grab them, move them out of the way.
Yeah.
Cap just threw that lady like 2 stories, which would have killed her, or ripped her arm off.
There's a lot of things they do is like, oh, that would have really hurt somebody.
When he grabbed, I go, she dead.
Yeah.
But... So he does that. It's supposed to be this big sacrifice, and he saves Clint because, you know, now we have the weight with Clint's family. Let's get back to it. But it was like, man, that's stupid. It's called He Has to Die for Plot. How do we do this?
For rights reasons.
Do you know the stupider thing? The easy way to get around that would have just been making the excuse that having to grab them and get them out of the way slowed him down enough to be struck by the bullets.
Have him trip over Clint's bow. Really make it Clint's problem.
And it wouldn't be as bad if we didn't have 2 other times in the movie where he can easily see slowly moving bullets. Yeah. Like Clint shooting the floor underneath him where he sees the bullet go by that slow. It's like, if they move that slow, why does he have a problem later?
And, you know, I think the scene would have been fine if he wasn't riddled with bullets. If he missed one and one caught him and he didn't even catch it
there
at
you
first,
go. Make
and
it
then all
more
of a sudden
dramatic.
You see red up here, like, perfect. It's like he thought he dodged all those bullets saving them, but he missed one and he got hit.
It's a classic movie thing
he
of like
all those bullets.
It's the classic movie thing of like he moves them out of the way and Clint looks and he's happy, but then you see Quicksilver looking fine, and then you go back to Clint and then you see the drop
Yep.
And then you see the red.
And yeah, it's cliche, but it's way better than what they ended up going with.
Yeah, just what does he
Cliche
say?
is
You
better
didn't
than
see that
stupid.
coming?
Yeah.
Even though stupid can be cliche can be stupid, cliche is better than outright stupid.
Yeah. I did like Wanda's reaction. I like the connection that they have, especially with the Mind Stone connecting them as well. I don't know. I kind of like them in this movie. I like that they're kind of like all against Stark until she's like, wait, you just want to kill us all, don't you? I'm out.
How do you like Wanda's on again, off again accent?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
They phase it out
Yeah.
as the movies go on.
It's rough. I usually give accents a pass. One of the big ones that I give a pass is in New Mutants. They all had to come reshoot years later. Forgot what accents they did. You could tell, like, oh, he's older here. He doesn't have the accent here. It's wild. But yeah, it didn't bother me as much as it originally did when I first saw this movie. But it's tough. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
It's also, in hindsight, watching this movie, knowing what comes after it, watching that first scene where Vision pops out of the box and is naked, and they cut to Wanda just like staring at him, and it's like, ew.
It's like, man, this is the third movie I've seen Paul Bettany naked in.
Years of comics prepped me for that relationship. Once I
what are
was
the
like,
other two?
they're bringing both of them in this movie. Yeah, they're gonna be doing it.
I also didn't realize that they set it up in this movie when she starts talking about she like looked into his mind or something, or she read him. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And how she would not have survived if he didn't go and find her in that car and pull her out. Like, yeah.
Her pulling the heart out of Ultron should be a much bigger moment than it is, but it's just so funny.
Like, I literally remember sitting in the audience being like, none of these, unless they know, none of them are ready for what's about to happen with these two characters. Because I saw WandaVision coming years ago, because I had read a lot of the, like, Wanda and Pietro and Magneto, like, that whole family are crazy. They're his kids.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Their stories are always crazy in the comics. You never know who they're fighting for or against, and they're great.
Isn't there a discussion that Scarlet Witch is the most powerful character in Marvel? Is that been like a definitive thing, or is it just like a...
I think she's the most powerful in the MCU. I don't think she is in the comics.
Okay.
I think like the Beyonder and like the One Above All and stuff are still like way more powerful than her. But she can change reality. She's up there.
That's fair.
Real quick, Jake, what are the other two Paul Bettany movies I've seen that you've also seen where he's naked?
Is he in the first X-Men movie?
No. I watched one of these recently.
He's one of them has
With
another
me?
comic book actor.
No, not with you. You've seen them, though.
If it's the one I'm thinking.
One of them, the first scene has him just buck naked. Just walking down the road saying, I'm a writer. Let me write your story. You need these passes. Let me fake these passes for you so you can joust.
Oh, Knight's Tale.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking.
And what's the other one where he's first scene he's like naked and like flogging himself? Not funny movie.
Da Vinci Code.
Yep.
Yeah, I forget that's Paul Bettany.
Yeah, that
so
is
it's like,
hard. That is
wow.
hard to make that connection.
So it's like, wow, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, first scene of Paul Bettany, he's naked. Except this time he's a red robot.
I love Paul Bettany in this movie.
He's also shadowed quite heavily.
Yeah.
We also don't know if he's smooth down there.
Thanks, Jake.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I mean,
How's
Wanda
that
saw
work?
something.
Something. I mean,
I'm
you
just
saw the
saying.
look on her face.
Well, I mean, technically
did.
we know. Like, there's that first scene of him up against that window. That's full frontal. There's nothing there. He's Ken doll.
But he
I
made
didn't
that
even look
cape
at-
out
I
of
didn't
nothing.
True, he
so-
did make that cape. You're not wrong. So he can't just materialize
that
things.
was another funny moment in the movie.
Oh, when he looks over at Thor and all of a sudden the cape throws out. I love that. But then here you go.
That is a good moment.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth's reaction when Cap moves it is so funny.
So good.
I laughed really hard. I was like, that's still good. Just you hear, come on, Cap, and they just,
So that's the thing I told you guys beforehand. Like one of my comic book things that like made me love this movie. It's that scene. In comic books, you always get those scenes of them just hanging out before stuff goes down. The little interpersonal stuff. That's where we get the Nick Fury being played by Sam Jackson thing. He's asked, hey, if somebody were to play you in a movie, who would it be? Well, Mr. Nick Fury, or Mr. Samuel L. Jackson, of course. Those little, like, just hanging out scenes are just my favorite stuff in the comic books.
We were
And
talking
get
about that.
here.
I was saying to him, like, people on Letterboxd who are like, I kind of like the talking scenes in this and not the
And
action
there's a lot of
scenes.
them.
Yeah.
And they're good.
The interactions are decent. It's like, man, this is
Like
more
little,
interesting.
Like when Tony walks away from Cap after a little argument, cutting wood, he's like, don't touch my pile. It's great. It's such a Tony thing of, don't touch my pile. And you look over and his pile is half the size of Cap's.
Walks into the barn. Hello, dear.
It's so good.
I will say, going back to the action though, it's like thinking about, well, we have this good, this nice little talk. And in the middle we have Cap fighting Ultron. It's like, what a one-sided fight. Like, and they even say it like, you're no match for Cap. Thanks, Barton.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, this is not a great fight.
So that scene is another scene where subbies saved the day. I never got the joke that it was a John Deere.
Yep.
I figured it was just because he loves machinery. And then I saw that. I was like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the subtitles that got me, but it was the first time I like fully caught that joke, and I was like, oh, huh. Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like so much good in this movie, but like then there's also the Nat and Bruce stuff, which I don't hate, but it's just so much of it. And there's and it goes from 0 in every other movie to 10 here.
It's not terrible at the party outside of the one shot that everyone's talking about. Where it's like, yeah, that's unnecessary.
Oh, where he puts his face in her boobs.
Yeah.
Where they fall over the counter, and it's like, wow, 2 years later, Joss Whedon would do it again. Justice League.
Yeah.
And then
respect Gal Gadot for being like, I won't do it. Get a stunt double.
And then the scene that was making me go ugh, was the shower. When he gets out of the shower, I should have joined you. I'm like, this is the most like stagnant, no chemistry.
That whole
like,
scene is
it's so bad.
So bad.
That's like the one bad part about the Barton house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, like, I love those characters, and the
funny,
relationship stuff doesn't even like blindside me. It's just they push it so hard throughout the movie.
Well,
it's just too much.
And then like she's fighting Banner on this perspective that he's taking, but he's right.
Yeah, and like comparing yourself to like he can literally kill you by just existing. Like it's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That stuff just never played well with me.
Do you want me to go into my?
Sure.
Well, you were the one that was trying to direct me.
I know.
Before.
I just like let's go.
Oh, let's go. I don't like this movie. I like it less every time I watch it.
Yeah.
I agree with the good things that you're talking about, but I find it overbloated. I find it in the wrong spot. I find it asking more questions than it answers in certain manners, because a lot of this is predicated on the understanding that the Avengers have gotten together sometime after Winter Soldier and have been taking down Hydra bases, which they do nothing to tell you that that's what they've been doing. So, like,
I think it's mentioned once in like Iron Man 3 or something.
So, you're dropped into this thing where you have what'd you call him? What is his name?
Strucker.
Oh, Strucker, yeah.
And like they say it, and I said, did he just say strike like the X-Men striker? No.
Baron von Strucker.
But like he's not in there at all, and then it just there's too many stories doing too many things. So
I agree.
I think Phase 2 was done dirty by this movie. By the need for the Avengers to be a culmination movie, I think Phase 2 was done dirty by it.
I think this movie is a better setup for everything to come than it is a movie itself. Like this movie just sets up so many good things.
I kind of disagree with that.
As in Civil War. But I like Civil War.
So. But I think you'll understand why. I think what needed to happen is Ant-Man needed to come out between Winter Soldier, and then Avengers should have come out after that. Because Avengers doesn't do much to set up like now we're going to go out into the galaxy. Mm-hmm. So they had that one scene where Thor disappears because he had a vision from Wanda.
He goes into the Shocky pool.
Yeah.
My other least favorite part of this movie.
So
pointless. Yeah. Should have been what'd you say?
But it got us a reason to have Stellar skateboard in the movie, though. I'll take it.
What did you say that scene needs to be?
I don't mind. Wanda gives him this vision. He gets this inkling that something is going to happen. Whole movie happens because it doesn't need to happen where he goes to it in the middle of the movie. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
and then so they're underhanded when fighting Ultron in the next fight.
What's that?
It's so they don't have a god fighting with them in the next Ultron fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same reason he's not in a couple other movies. Like, get him off world so he's not overpowered.
Yeah. But then, so whole movie happens, Vision happens, Thor recognizes it as an Infinity Stone because I'm sure that's something he knows what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure Asgardians know about the Infinity Stones.
We don't have to hear an explanation about it. The mid-credit scene is him going to the Shocky pool. You see that, and then you see the gauntlet, and then it zooms in on the purple stone, and then you just see Quill's eyes light up, and then Guardians is the end, because I think, in my personal opinion, because of how they use Thanos in it, because of how they explain the stones, that launches us into that part of the story better than this does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my stick with this.
So your big thing is Guardians came first.
Yes.
It should have ended the phase.
So because Guardians came first, it makes you like this movie less.
Yes.
I think it's a structural thing of like...
I get that.
It feels like backtracking because we go from opening up...
Oh, especially because they use the same imagery when explaining the stones in this movie. I was like, oh, he has the same screen that the Collector has because it's all the same imagery that we're seeing, even on the glove in the sky.
We've revealed what the big story is for all these movies, and then we backtrack into this, like re-explaining, less so, showing less, and it has almost nothing to do with the plot outside of Ultron wants a body. That's like it.
Yeah. I also think that having it have less years between Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron would have made those dots connect better.
I agree. I think this should have been beginning of Phase 3. Or just move all the space stuff into Phase 3 and then take some of those not space stuff and move it into Phase 2. Because I agree, like you're ending Phase 2 with the lead into Civil War, which is also kind of not really the space stuff. It's kind of the finale of all of these first Phase stuff, but you have to watch a little bit of the space stuff before you get to it.
Yeah.
I get that.
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say.
It's kind of like two storylines going at once, which is kind of what they end up doing. Is two storylines and converging at Infinity War Endgame with the galaxy stuff and the ground stuff.
But it's not done well.
It's not.
I also think that the Thanos thing at the end of Avengers, would the whole, I'll do it myself, would have worked better as a mid-credit scene for Guardians.
Agreed.
That's just my structure. I'm not saying it's bad. I guess I'm not saying it's bad because of it. I'm saying I liked it less because
I get that.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Also, like, it has scenes. It makes it so this movie has scenes that are unnecessary because Guardians just came out and all that explanation has just been given to us.
Yep.
I do get where we have to have our Earth people get this information too.
Yeah.
But
and again, I think it.
But having it the next movie
makes
it a little rougher.
And then you go, oh, Ant-Man's next. Ugh.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with the Infinity Stones, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think
no, not at all. I don't think.
I think once you bust the Infinity Stones out, I don't think you can have a movie that doesn't have something to do with them. And
kind of heading in that direction.
Forward.
Yeah. While I agree with actually to your point, I think that is more true now than when these movies came out. I think the issue with the structure of it all affects the watch through a lot more when you're watching them back to back than if you were taking months out of it.
That's fair. I do think that part of the reason I didn't understand.
But these also were meant to be consumed the way we're doing it right now is eventually watch them all in one shot
as a show.
Yeah.
More. I also think that part of the reason I didn't understand Ultron at the time was because I was looking for like, okay, why aren't the Guardians here? They were such a big thing, and all the big stuff happened, and then Thanos, and we know Thanos is in the first Avengers, so why isn't he here? It just seems so separated from the rest of it.
It's so comic book.
It's fair.
Like, have you ever read the Civil War comic?
No, I need to.
So there's mainline Civil War, and then every current run comic book at the time had a Civil War story.
Oh, so like what DC did with Convergence.
Issues. Very much so. Where
that
it's
was
like,
stupid.
Oh, you're reading the Runaways. Oh, here's 2 issues that are Civil War heavy. Then you're back to reading the Runaways. Yeah, that's kind of how they were running the comics at the time and always. You'd be reading your story, and then you'd have a couple either panels or issues where it'd be something completely separate. And then, like, a year later, it would all come back together. And that was Civil War. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time reading Civil War. Because you have to read all the supplementary stuff. That's kind of like the MCU, where you have to read the one-shots and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. And then you have your Galactic stuff and your Earth
That's
stuff.
true. Maybe if I would have watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it would have connected
You would think.
better.
You would think.
When did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. end? What movies is it around that it ends?
Recently, actually. I think they ran through the pandemic for a while. But I think they stopped being canon to the MCU after Winter Soldier. I think once I think when S.H.I.E.L.D. disbands, that's about the time it diverts.
Okay.
To a different timeline. Yeah.
On that cap with the, this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be. Okay.
I will say the thing I'm gonna miss most in the MCU, and these movies have kind of made me realize it. I love Cap's little speeches before our big finale. They're so good. They're so Bill Pullman in Independence
Don't
Day.
forget, he gets called Captain America.
Yeah. I love his big patriotic speeches. I also love that what was it?
I love that he flipped over the handlebars of that motorcycle and threw it.
Yeah. Well, he has a line where it's like, if you're something, keep fighting, and if you die, walk it off.
Yeah.
If you get killed, walk it off. It's like, that's a very not Captain American thing to say, but also very Cap.
So I mentioned, Ultron, James Spader just now. It's really annoying because half of the performance is like really good, and the other half is they are giving him nothing.
I think the whole performance is great. I think my issue with him is the design.
I was telling him
The
this
design
too.
is so messy.
I was telling because I read Demi's review on Letterboxd. It's the opposite problem of Lion King 19. He's too emotive. He's supposed to be non-human android, but they give him the brows, is what I was telling him, and you said you didn't notice.
I didn't notice.
But they move up and down and give him personality. It's like, it's James Spader. You don't need to do that to hear it. He's got such a wonderfully sultry
I think
voice.
it works better when it's on the Iron Man bots where there isn't any expression.
Which is what you said earlier too.
I think we don't see Ultron
Yeah.
until the very end fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think the entire movie, it's just a horde of the Iron Legion.
And you know what my issue with that is? When you see Ultron there with his whole Iron Legion, if you were to pause that and be like, which one's Ultron? They all look the same. Make our main Ultron like the comic book Ultron. Give him the big red glowy eyes. Like,
Didn't they?
no, he has little red glowy eyes that are very similar to the little blue glowy eyes. No, in the comics, like his whole face is kind of like Venom, where the eyes are half of his face, if not more. And they're giant red glowing beacons of death. Is kind of what they are. And in this one, they're not. Like, make our main Ultron. Make him a big bad villain. Don't make him look almost the same as the rest of his Iron Legion.
That's the thing. They give him these little moments of humor that aren't like a really sarcastic villain.
Mm-hmm.
He breaks character to be all goofy MCU. Like, this is bad.
I wish if when he did that, I think that stuff is great. I think when he did that, though, I think he should hate himself for it because he's like Tony Stark. I think he should have his Tony Starkisms in there and him hate the fact that they keep coming out. Like,
Was he created by Tony Stark in the
yeah,
comics?
No, Hank Pym.
Hank Pym.
Yes, Hank Pym creates Ultron in the comics.
Okay.
Why
With
does
the help of Tony Stark, I believe.
Which would have been funny because they could have done that had they released Ant-Man first.
That's true.
Technically, Ant-Man should have been in the Avengers. Same with Wasp. They are original members.
Oh,
We don't want more Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't like her in this franchise because I like her pretty much everywhere else.
I don't like her.
Cool.
I was not to go into Ant-Man, but I remember because I didn't know anything about comics as a kid, but the idea of Ant-Man was so cool, and when I heard who they cast, I was mad. I like Paul Rudd. I think he's really good as that character. Mm-hmm. That first movie, before I even saw it, I was like, why? They're gonna make him this buffoon. And then I watched the movie and go, he's okay. And then as you saw him more,
he's not nearly as buffoony as you would expect them to make him with Paul Rudd.
but it got better. I've grown to like him in the role, but
Yeah,
I was upset. I was like, Ant-Man's so cool. Doesn't he get big? And that's later. But that first one, I thought it was both. But it's explained well.
Yeah. So
that's what I think about. It's like, if Ant-Man came first, then you get the boring appetizer out of the way. Get it? He's small.
Yeah.
Then you could put him in an Avengers movie instead of shoving him into a Cap movie.
Yeah.
Where he shows up halfway through to be in 2 scenes.
The 2 scenes that everybody remembers from that movie, though.
That's true.
I remember the whole thing. I love that movie.
It's next. After Ant-Man.
That's the thing. That airport scene, one of my least favorite parts of the movie. The rest of it's the great parts. We'll get there. But
yeah.
That also kind of leads me to this movie. Some of my favorite parts are the stuff that leads into Civil War. I like that we have Sam on a side mission trying to find Bucky. I like that we have these little fights with Cap and Tony about morals and what they think the right thing to do is.
I do like that they reference what each of them is doing
Mm-hmm.
in those quiet moments when they're together.
Those quiet moments are where this movie shines. Like I said, Jared said, it's the fights that really...
They're too long,
They're too
and they're
long.
not interesting, and they don't connect very well to the story.
I also really love Barton talking to Natasha in that convertible. You know what I should do? I know what I should do. You know what I should do? That east wall. It needs to go.
He's so funny in this movie. Like
know.
he is like, I'm not a huge Jeremy Renner fan, but he's so funny in this movie.
Like Jared said, I hope it doesn't get a mediocre to bad miniseries.
I love that miniseries.
I know. I was waiting for it.
But I also, the comic line that miniseries is based on is one of my favorite comic books of all time. My Life as a Weapon is one of, I think, the best written comic books of all time.
My Life is a Weapon?
It's Clint Barton stuck in New York undercover at this little apartment, and the Tracksuit Mafia is moving in on the territory, and it's him and all of the residents in the place just defending themselves. And that's what a lot of the show is. There's a lot of the greater MCU stuff that kind of bogs it down, but the core stuff is still there, and I love it. They also use some very direct references from the comic in the show, which I appreciate.
I just found it a waste of Haley Steinfeld.
Oh, I love her performance in that. It's also just an introduction for her.
No, she's good. It's just
Yeah.
Is
Wish
she
she was in
going to
something
be a Thunderbolt or
No, Young Avenger.
Young Avenger? Is Florence Pugh a Thunderbolt?
Probably
yes,
both.
yeah.
She'll be a Thunderbolt. She'll probably find her way in this one, and that's when we'll get our first glimpse of the Young Avengers, is what I'm assuming.
Okay.
So we'll get Wanda's kids and Hulkling and...
Do Wanda's kids have powers? I don't remember.
They do.
I thought they didn't exist.
Not in this universe.
Oh, once we get to that movie,
Oh, see, that's...
the conversations I've had
that-
with people about
I like those movies less, but that's also in more of my wheelhouse of comic books. So that's where I can also pull out a little bit more why they went the direction they went.
As we go through this watch through, I'm finding that I like the ones that make me feel like I'm watching a comic way more than the real ones.
I get that. See, I like the real ones because they remind me of the comics I liked as a kid. I like more of the ground level heroes, your Spider-Mans, your Daredevils, Punishers, the guys in the streets of New York, and they take a lot of those story aspects and put them into the real world ones in the MCU. And that's kind of where I end up liking. And then it's the more out there galaxy treading stuff that I was never a fan of in the comics.
See, but we've not come across one yet that you've been like, I don't really like this one.
Oh, we'll get there. It takes a while for me to stop liking the MCU.
After Endgame or before Endgame?
Post Endgame.
That's makes sense.
But a little bit further post Endgame than a lot of people.
Interesting.
I pretty much like it up until Thor, Love and Thunder.
you should have seen him. After
That's not fair when they
lost.
take one of your favorite
I know when
villains
they take
though and
my
do it
absolute
dirty.
favorite, it's Thor story, and butcher it.
You could say, God butcher it.
But luckily, these stories, I was never an Ultron guy growing up. I was more of a DC Brainiac guy, so...
Brainiac's better.
I do like. It's so interesting. I think for comics, I like DC better. Obviously, I think, but obviously for movies, MCU is the thing.
Yeah. I think DC has better capabilities of making better movies. They just tried to do the Marvel thing and it didn't work.
Yeah. They tried to do the Marvel thing without as many years to do the Marvel
I
thing.
think all their stuff not connected to their universe is really good.
What's not connected to their universe?
The
Batman.
Batman.
Oh, okay.
Joker, which I think is still better than anything else DCEU released.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather watch the Snyder Cut than Joker.
Oh, fair. I forget that exists.
Is that
I
not
would rather watch 3 hours of the
technically
Snyder Cut.
connected to the DCU?
It's kind of an Elseworld story at this point because they never continued it.
We weren't talking about whether it was connected or not. It was more of wanted to watch. Thinks Joker's better than anything in the DCU, but I was saying, I don't know. I like the Snyder Cut
That's
better
a
than
really like Blue
Joker.
Beetle. Blue Beetle's underrated. Real
I
fun.
never saw it.
It's another great Iron Man movie.
Is it another one of those ones that's going to go nowhere because of when it came out and when they're shifting directions?
No, I think James Gunn is going to work him into his universe because he liked the character so much.
I wonder. I've always wondered if they're going to keep what's his name? Shazam.
Zachary Levi.
I hope not.
Say-
He's the
I
worst
forgot
part
he
of
doesn't like him.
Used to love him, but he is the worst part of those Shazam movies.
It's fair.
yeah,
Which is-
especially that second
And
one.
Jack Dylan Grazer is the best part of those Shazam movies, even though I hear he's not the greatest person.
Is that the little version of
Is it
Shazam?
Freddy?
Yeah, Freddy. Yeah.
Okay. I like the crippled kid in Shazam.
He's also the best part of the It movies, in my opinion. Outside of
Is
Pennywise.
he crippled in the It movies?
No, he's just no, he's not the hypochondriac. Yeah, he is the hypochondriac, isn't he? So yeah,
Yeah,
he
they're
is. He breaks his arm.
They're gazebos.
Yeah, they're gazebos. Yeah, he breaks his arm in It movies.
You want to know, back to Ultron, you want to know something in the movie that I actually do like, and this time I was like, I really like this. I wish they leaned into it harder. Those visions.
Yeah.
Because Thor's is the weakest.
I like Caps.
Because...
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Thor's is the weakest because it doesn't connect to the Shocky pool at all. It's just, he's at like an orgy. I remember in the theater sitting next to my mom going, this is weird.
He's in orgy and Heimdall's going crazy.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't even know who it was in theaters.
I know.
I was like, who's that?
I know, because before that, all we had seen him in is the giant
Did
gold
you see?
stuff.
Did you see this before you saw Thor?
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense then.
Both Thor. I hadn't seen a Thor movie when I watched this in theaters because my mom's like, hey, you want to go see the new Avengers?
Did you
I'm
know?
like, sure.
Did you know who Thor was at this point?
I know who Thor is.
I think
Everyone
all the
knows who
characters,
Thor
the Greek
is.
God, the
Yeah.
God is probably the one
He
that
has-
knows the most.
He has the funny hat, the cape, and the hammer. And
He doesn't have the funny hat in these movies.
No, that's what sucks about it. I want
He
the
gets
funny
it,
hat.
it's just not the good version of it.
Hey,
But-
I like that blue suit.
I know, but the helmet's so bad.
So the Thor one is whatever.
Yeah.
Natasha's is really good. That was the part in theaters I was like,
And
oh.
everybody wanted to clamor for a Natasha movie.
That's
And
when we
then we
needed the
got
actual.
it.
That's when I would have bought that she can't attack him because he stinks.
That's the stupidest thing.
Let's get ahead of ourselves.
And then Caps is the best one. It has one of my favorite shots in the whole MCU, and that's when he's alone in the one where it's that wide shot. They hold it for 2 seconds. I was like, no, sit in that. He can hear the echoing in there as he's by himself because basically everyone in there is dead. Not like,
Yep.
hold on to that, but no, it's 140 minutes. There's
Joss
a
Whedon.
million things. I know. I'm just saying, like, man, that's so good. I wish they leaned into that. And then Tony's is funny. It's not it's not bad because it's important. It's the most important one of those.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, every time I watch it, Cap's line kills me. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh,
You could have saved them or whatever, us or whatever. It's like, oh, that's bad. It should have just been he sees them dead.
Yeah.
Even the way it's like set up is
Even if
kind
they-
of goofy looking. It
even
should
if
have
they
been
would've
them all
shown-
piled together.
Even if they would have shown, I would have preferred it if they showed like Thanos or a Thanos shape on the like throne over all of it. At least something to connect it more to where Tony's story is moving eventually.
So give it to a director who has more of a style.
I was about to say, if we had a better director, it probably would have been very intricate and very flashy and cool and made you really care about it. And not just a pile of bodies.
Yeah,
I will say that the poster you chose on Letterboxd is
really bad.
really funny
know.
looking.
Is it... Wait. Oh, so do you remember the original poster for this movie? I hated the poster
Where
for this.
it's like them in a circle going like,
No, it's all of them floating in a sea of Ultron heads. It's like 1 million Ultron heads, and I think you
Look
have
it
like,
up, Jared. Look it up.
yeah,
I don't
it's
have internet
real rough.
Why not?
because it won't connect. I have to use my hotspot just to pull up
Ultron's
Letterboxd
invaded the internet.
and Sheets. Age of Ultron.
The things I did like
Poster.
about Ultron the character though are the horror moments.
Dude,
I wish there were more of them.
I was just gonna say that. I love in the first quarter or a half of this movie the way they move Wanda's body.
Yeah.
Like I love how it's
The
like
door shutting thing at the beginning.
not even just that. It's just entirely how they move her body, like how she moves her arm, and then they just ditch it.
Yep.
It's like
And every now and then you'll get one of the Ultron drones that are moving a little too fast and they're like a little jittery, and it's so good, but they don't do it nearly enough. And they, like Jared said with the last scene, they cut away too quick. They don't sit on it, and it immediately moves to a joke, which is a big complaint about the MCU as a whole. Is
Yeah.
you have something that's good there, and then you cut it with a joke.
I'm not finding it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the theatrical poster. It may not be quite what I was thinking it is, but I remember it being a whole bunch of Ultron heads or bodies. Age of Ultron poster.
But those sequences are the best. And the thing with Wanda, the horror-esque little flair that they had for a second are cool things, and they just, as we've seen in this universe, whenever something can be cool, they don't do it or they ruin it.
Yeah, they don't do it or overdo it.
It's really annoying.
I'm mixing two posters up. There's the one main poster where it's them surrounded by all the pieces of Ultron parts flying around, and then the other one is the Avengers A made out of Ultron parts.
Okay.
I like
where it's
this
like
one.
all metal and stuff. That's a good one. I think that was the Mondo poster, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
it's a good one.
That's what Ultron should have looked like. Giant mouth, giant, bigger eyes. Like, the eyes should have been this.
Like the villain in Tron.
Very much so, but bigger. I want big eyes. Give me Black Manta from Aquaman.
Okay. I'd buy that. For $1 at least.
Now I'm trying to remember if Ultron actually looks like how I think in comics. His eyes aren't nearly as big in the comics as I picture them, but they're still bigger than they are in the movie. He's so menacing in the comics. Also, like, he has a very smooth, I guess, exterior. It's not really skin. Where in this one, it's all pieces and stuff that are constantly moving and shifting, kind of like pieces of an actual body, and it just looks terrible to me. I just hate the design of Ultron. That's my biggest gripe with this movie.
Oh, there is a what if where Ultron gets all of the stones.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Did you like it, Nick?
The What If?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it in season 1 or season 2?
Season 1. I haven't watched season 2 yet, but I hear season 2 is even better than season 1.
Okay, then I have seen that. I don't know why I don't remember it.
It's kind of the last 2 episodes. It's like the grand finale. It's like the whole last 2 episodes.
The ones that make them all connect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who they're fighting the whole time. Where he pops up to Thanos and just lasers him in half immediately and then leaves again. And people are like, that wouldn't happen. It's like, yeah, it would. That's Ultron with all of the stones. Like, he's going to think of every possible solution, unlike Thanos, because he has a computer brain. I also love they just leave one bot alive to press the button. Everything else is you have one bot.
Yeah,
in the
Wanda
middle.
kind of blew it. She's supposed to watch it.
Here's what I don't understand about that. Okay. So, when Vision gets a hold of him, when that whole fight starts, they talk about how Vision cut him off from the internet. So then why do they have to worry about all of the bots?
Intranet. He's still connected to all the bots that he's already
Okay.
connected to. Yeah, they have to destroy every instance of Ultron. He's gone from the web, but he's still connected to all the bots in the intranet.
I do
Okay.
like the shot where he grabs him.
Yeah.
I like that. Again, little things.
Yeah, like there's so many good little things in this movie, but just the final product just did not work.
What was I thinking of just now? I was thinking of something Ultron related with that. It was back to, man, they put a lot of people in danger. That fight on the train with Cap and Ultron,
Yeah.
and it's like them crashing in there and him fighting him is fine. Cap's like throwing his shield around, and there's civilians right behind him, like,
It's like antithetical to everything else going on in the movie.
and it's also like, man, they really do put a lot of people in danger. And also, Ultron created by Tony and Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
This is all their fault, and it makes me be on Team Tony for Civil War. He's right. And when people say that's stupid, it never worked, I go, and if it doesn't work, then they get rid of the legislation.
No.
That's what
Tony
happens.
is actually. We're not going to have this fight right
I'm just
now.
saying he's right.
He's right. He's 100% right.
And if it doesn't,
I'm still Team Cap.
and I'm just saying if it,
Okay.
I'm just saying
You're
if
just
it
on the
doesn't.
side because of Bucky.
Bucky's one of my least favorite MCU characters.
Okay. You're on his side because of Sam.
That's correct. I love Sam.
I was just saying, I've a fellow we both know we used to have this conversation back in the day of like, how could you be Team Tony? You know how many people are going to die? I'm like, you understand all it takes is one big bad thing where they can't just jump in and help to make the legislation get lifted. Like, that's literally what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They need to be held in check, but the legislation will change when something happens. He goes, well, people will die. Oh, more people will die if they're not held in check. You know how many people died because they created a funny little AI robot and they dropped a city from the sky? Oh, and then blew it up.
I mean, how many
It's
people
all
died
their
just from
fault.
Tony Stark existing? Like, the Stark Industries, like, they're all murderers and killers. They all have blood in their hands.
Which is a good thing in that first scene. That I like the fight at the party.
Yeah.
That's a good fight when they're kind of caught off guard and they're all having to scramble.
Yeah.
Tony kind of flying around going, is really funny.
When he starts laughing, I was just like, I forgot this thing where he's just like, just laughs in their face. And he's like, yeah, no, it's kind of funny. Yeah, and like everybody's like, "Hey, no, no, my guy."
It's kind of it's a dick thing to do.
It is, but it's
But
so
then
Tony Stark.
I like when Bruce goes,
Yeah, I know.
He's like his wife in that moment, like,
I mean, I get why the internet loved the Science Bros. Like, I get it. They are real good together.
That moment when he's laughing, it's like it's in character, it's out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and he doesn't explain himself fast enough, so there's a lot of laughing without. I'm like, why are you laughing? And then when he explains it, I'm like, that's why you're laughing. Like, it is kind of funny, but again,
Something that I thought would have been stale this view, but wasn't, was the language joke. I thought that was going to annoy him, but I was like, nah, this still plays with me. I still like every new character that gets rebrought in mentions it to Cap, and he's like, how does everybody know this? How did everybody hear this joke? We haven't seen Fury in years, and how does he know the joke already?
What does Hill say? Like, Cap said a bad word.
Yeah, he said a bad word.
Cap said a bad language word.
That's it.
It just works so well in this movie to me, like, because that is very Cap to just be like language.
Everything's just going back to the party. The
Yeah.
party's
And that's
fun.
right before he flips over them handlebars and...
No, it's after.
No, it's before, because he says language when he's on the motorcycle.
Oh, I thought
and
at
then
the
he
party.
flips over the stupid motorcycle, stops, and just carries the momentum through.
It's the second best motorcycle flip.
It is.
You know what the best is?
Is it Civil War?
No.
Oh,
It's RRR when he uses it as a baseball bat.
I thought you meant.
Kicks
you
it
meant
up,
in the MCU.
Just swings it like
in the
this.
history of cinema, yeah, that's number one.
That's the best one. I think it was Beam.
Yeah.
Just kicks it to himself, hits a guy. Like, and,
So I
someone,
thought you were talking about the one where Bucky throws a guy off a bike, whips it around his head, and then just jumps on it and Civil War.
oh, no.
I was
Is that when he was going to kill the parents?
it's in the middle of the chase.
That's the
when
chase.
Black Panther, Cap, and
Oh, okay.
he's just like, I need a bike throw, and he whips the bike around him and jumps on. I'm like,
right.
it's such an unnecessary scene, but I love it so much.
See, that type of thing screams comic book to me.
Oh, I was going to mention, you see typical European villain, instantly go, is that Thomas Kretschmann? It is. Ever since I first saw him in The Pianist,
Yeah.
when I was like 16, 15,
What character are you talking about?
he's Strucker. Strucker?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was
He
thinking.
he's kind of like Daniel Bruhl in a lot of things. Like, he just has that he's German.
Eastern European.
German,
villain guy.
has that villain face,
Yeah.
and Daniel Bruhl isn't always a villain,
No.
but like he just has this aura about him where he's just naturally good at playing that character. Same with Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I would say Mads as well, but Mads can play non-villains just as well. They're both great. Just
He
like
plays villains so well, though.
they're both great. Just
Is it
So-
Mads or Lars in Doctor Strange?
Mads.
Mads. Lars is
this.
Thrawn,
Yeah.
Okay.
and he's in Sherlock.
Yes, we said this before. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're both great. So, yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, that looks like Thomas Kretschmann. It is. It happens in movies, too, where I go, that looks like so-and-so. It is. And my favorite is, like, watching, what is that Western movie from 2018? Hostiles. Christian Bale.
Didn't see it.
It's actually good. An interesting early Chalamet role where he's not a big character at all. Like, he's not in it that much. Like, it's weird. It's like different movie now, but I'm watching. I go, hey, one of the, I forgot what tribe they were the Native Americans, and that looks like Adam Beach. Jared, come on, not every Native American actor looks like is Adam Beach. It was, and then one of the female characters. Hey, that looks like I can't remember her name from the New World that played Pocahontas. Jared, you're doing it again. It was. I was right.
I'm not doing anything if it's actually the person.
I was right both times. It's like you're overcorrecting, and then you go, oh no, I was right. So that was me with Thomas Kretschmann. Like, that looks like Thomas Kretschmann. It is.
One of the little things I love about this movie is Rhodey, his little story. Like, oh, that's the end of the story. Thor's like, very good story, bud.
When it's like, boom, you looking for this?
Yeah.
And then they don't react. He's like, that story kills with everyone. And then later he tells again they laugh. He goes,
yeah.
He doesn't have to say anything.
Or then when he shows them, he's like, oh, this is going to make a good story. Then all of a sudden, Vision's just chopping through people.
See, it's a funny moment because he goes, okay, what?
Yeah.
But we saw Vision do cooler things for 20 minutes before that.
Yep.
So him just flying by, punching a few guys, and like Rip going through one just isn't that impressive anymore because we've seen him do other stuff like that already. It's a funny little moment.
I also like Thor's line when they're all saying their goodbyes, and when they're standing in the road, he goes, except for this one, everything can be explained.
Yeah, Tony, yeah.
I will say, for as many qualms as I have with the movie, the ending gets me pumped. When they start talking about, they're a team, we'll whoop them into shape, and then they show all of the Avengers type people.
And they cut it off before he says the word.
Yeah, for some reason that gets me really pumped.
And he even says the first, starting to say the silver. He opens his mouth, and then it cuts.
I'm kind of glad we don't get that until we get that.
Yeah.
It's such a good moment.
It is.
It was a joke, anyways. I meant to ask you, though. So, when it came out, Age of Ultron came out, there was a big discussion online about whether or not Cap could fully lift the hammer at that point and just chose not to. Where do you fall on that?
I think he could have.
You think he could have? Okay.
I think Cap's always been able to lift the hammer. But yeah, I think he did it to save face in front of Thor, just to not make him feel bad.
Well, you look at his reaction. He gives up real easily.
Yep. Yeah, he makes him move, then like Thor kind of reacts, then he just gives up.
Great reaction, so just...
I know, it's so subtle, but the whole body shift is so good.
And then Natasha, that's not a question I need answered, boys.
Yeah. I also, when Rhodey and Tony are both doing it, are you even pulling? Shut up, pull the hammer. And whoever shall wield Thor's fingerprints may have the power of them. So many good lines in that one little scene.
Don't forget Stan Lee's cameo.
Yeah.
Isn't it Excelsior, right?
Yeah.
Excelsior.
Oh, yeah. Convincing him to let him drink that alcohol. That whole party scene, can we agree that that's probably the best part of the movie?
Yeah. That and the Hawk's home, we'll call it that. Hawk's home. Outside of Shakipuli and steamy, no hot watery.
Yeah, you take a couple things out of this movie, and it's a real fun movie and a decent movie. But those things are in there, and they just derail every bit of traction the movie has going for it.
So this is the last Joss Whedon thing in the MCU. Do you know? Because I don't. Do you know what happened behind the scenes with Joss Whedon around this time? That booted him.
I don't know if that was ever released around the time, so I don't know. I think that stuff all came out when I was not really paying attention to all of the behind the scenes stuff, so I'm not really sure.
Because the Me Too stuff is 2 years later.
Yeah, that's not till he was working with DC, really, wasn't it?
I don't
thought
remember.
It was, no, wasn't it like far later? I thought it was he did Justice League, and then he was working on Batwoman when that stuff came out, and then they took him off of Batwoman, and then did their own Batwoman thing.
And then canned it.
Then Zaslav slashed that one.
I'm just wondering.
Even later than that.
I'm just wondering why that was it. He did, or it could have been because of the massive Undertaking. He chose not to.
Show in there? What's the Douche-Coo show?
I don't know.
The Douche-Coosh? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Eliza Dushku. Where she's like a robot or something. I don't know. I think he did a show with her for a few years. I think he also co-produced Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still.
He might have done the reboot season of Veronica Mars.
Possible.
That might have been him.
I don't remember. I know Rob Thomas came back for that, but he may have also
Matchbox 20?
Not that match, but not that Rob Thomas.
It's always a funny joke.
That's a smooth one, Jared.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's just, every time we say it, we just see how far we've come.
But yeah, I don't know exactly what happened with Joss, whether it's he wanted too much money, they just wanted to go with the Russos because of how well the Cap stuff was doing, because that was easily the most well-received stuff that they had going at the time.
Or even it's the Sam Mendes Bond situation of, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah. And it could have even been the writers, because they had Marcus McFeely kind of carry on for a while with Civil War and then doing Infinity War and Endgame. They also did Agent Carter was their show. They were showrunners on that. So I don't know if they were leaning into them, the Russos, or if they were just done with Whedon.
Yeah, that was my other question.
Well, I feel like maybe just done with Whedon, because I don't feel like Age of Ultron performed at the level that they think that it
I think financially it did about what they were expecting, but the reception, especially
compared to the first one.
The further out it went and the longer the movie was out, the more people were picking it apart and had issues with it. And I think they were like, yeah, we just don't want to do it with them.
Well, and Winter Soldier was so dang successple that it's hard to argue
And Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this. You had said, I think last week, or maybe the week before, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, you've said that this is Marvel's TV director era.
Yeah.
Is James Gunn a TV director originally? I mean,
No.
I guess they all are.
Yes and
Kinda
no. He did
technically.
some TV stuff, I think, but no, he was more of a trauma guy. The TV person there would have been Sean Gunn, his brother, coming from Gilmore Girls. No, James Gunn's one of the not so much TV guys. It's mostly just, I think Peyton Reed did a lot of TV, who does Ant-Man. Then you had, obviously, Joss Whedon and the Russos. And I want to say, who did the first Doctor Strange?
Scott Derrickson.
Didn't he?
He's a horror guy.
Yeah, that's right. He's a horror guy. I knew they got somebody.
What was... Black Phone is him, right?
Maybe?
From last year? I think it is.
I think you're right.
I think he's like lower budget horror movie type person, so he put that into Doctor Strange.
So he's a Sam Raimi?
I think that's why they went with Sam Raimi, because he dropped out and they still wanted a horror theme to it.
Different kind of horror. Sam Raimi's very ridiculous horror.
Yeah, absurdist.
Yep,
And
whereas-
Sam is very contained, small settings, things like that.
Yeah, because Derrickson wanted to do Multiverse of Madness, but they didn't like his vision.
Yeah.
So that's why he stepped away.
That's another one that I would really like to see where he went with that.
Yeah, especially, because now we saw what we got. But that's way far away. I don't
We're not even in the Doctor Strange #1 yet.
And
No,
it's
we got a
not
couple.
necessarily TV guys. I think they just went for like people that weren't doing big stuff. Like instead of getting a Sam Raimi or something, they would get Scott Derrickson, who did very small budget horror, or Peyton Reed, who did TV, or the
People
Russos
that
who
they
did
didn't have
TV.
to pay as much to do.
Exactly. Their actors were getting bigger and bigger, so the money had to shift from their directors over to their actors. The directors they're like, all right, prove yourself with one, then we'll bring you back for more and up your contract there.
And then Taika Waititi.
He did
That's
some
it.
things.
What?
He did some things.
That's another story for another day, a bit down the road. Actually, I think that's in the next phase, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's coming up.
It's crazy to feel how far we are in the MCU, and yet there's so much more to go because of the blitz of 2020 to 2023 of so many projects coming out.
Well, just actually, 2017 started like the
that
3
was
year,
like-
then 2020 was nothing.
I mean,
Yeah, that's-
and then it's been just
next
an
year there's like
overall
5 coming out, isn't there?
4.
But we only have one this year.
That's why.
It better be a good one.
It's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, it better be good.
I hope it's
So what's next year? It's New World Order. It's
I think Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
I think Avengers.
Blade?
Yes, Thunderbolts, Blade, Brave New World, Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four. That's
Oh,
right.
Avengers isn't next year.
Which is the one I'm most excited for, is Fantastic Four.
Again?
Yes. But I actually like everything so far I've seen involved with it. And I also like that it's in a different universe, in a retro-futuristic setting. 1950s, but with flying cars.
Is it the different universe with Krasinski?
No, Pedro Pascal is playing Mr.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
I actually like that.
And Vanessa Kirby is Invisible Woman. Eobon, or what's his name? The guy from The Bear.
Yeah, it's like Ebon
Bach or something like
something.
that.
He's great.
Sebastian Bach.
Ebon.
And then
He's so good in
is
The
it
Bear
Joe,
too.
not Joe Keery.
No.
Other Stranger Things guy.
One
One of the guys from Stranger Things, the last season.
Did you finish the recent season?
No, I haven't finished the season since season 2.
Well, yeah, and then he'll be playing Johnny Storm. And we have a female Silver Surfer.
That's right. Oh, who is it?
She's from Ozark.
Julia Sweeney?
Yes.
Got it.
And there's actually a theory that we're getting both Silver Surfers and, Elle from One Piece. Not One Piece. From Death Note. The live action. Lakeith Stanfield is going to play the real Silver Surfer.
So there's a female one and then there's a real one?
Well, they're both real. He is the original Silver Surfer. She is like his girlfriend. When he dies, she takes over the mantle.
And where's Dr. Doom settle into all this?
Theory is he's not in the movie. It's Galactus.
Oh, yeah.
Galactus just got cast a couple days
Oh,
ago.
yeah, it's
What's his name?
Ralph Ineson.
Yeah.
Very deep voice.
Yep.
So are they going to move Galactus to be the big bad of the MCU?
I don't know. Different universe. We don't know.
Oh, that's right.
That's a different universe.
Although I guess it really doesn't matter. They've torn the multiverse in 2.
So my theory is Galactus wins.
Good for him.
Galactus eats Earth, and we get to watch that. I'm excited.
Yeah, he can get rid of that giant bionicle thing.
Let's hope he's not a cloud in this one.
That's right.
Man, they really like making
Galactus.
villains clouds. The Incredible Hulk did that too. The Ang Lee version.
Oh, Ang Lee's Hulk.
He's punching his dad who turned into a cloud.
That's right. He's an Iceman.
Yeah.
Is Galactus who Eternals was?
No, that's a Celestial.
Okay.
Galactus.
Big bionicle.
Galactus travels the galaxy eating planets.
He's a
Isn't
hungry
the
boy.
Silver Surfer supposed to be the precursor to him?
Yeah, he sends him along to kind of prep the planet for destruction. Herald of Galactus.
Okay. Are we good?
I'm good.
You getting it?
You always know we're good when I start going off on other comic book knowledge that's not even connected to the movie we're on. So yeah, I'm good.
All right. So I guess that's our take on Age of Ultron. Hope you didn't fall asleep through the movie. Hope you didn't fall asleep through our conversation. If you want to continue down this road with us next week, we are watching
Diet Right.
Ant-Man. Yep, that's right. Diet Right. Yep, that's right. Until then, where can they find us, Jared?
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and the funny TikTok and X.
Formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, there's 2 of them now.
I thought I was going to forget again.
And you can listen to us on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, and ring our bell. Make sure you like us and rate us on all those apps and check out our groovy website.
And until that, and until next time,
We're phased out.
yeah, I definitely am there.
We get David Dastmalchian next week. I'm pumped.
The polka dot guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Dalmatian.
Interview with the Devil, or whatever it is.
Late night with the polka.
Yeah, late night with Spot Guy.
Spot.
Is he the villain in Ant-Man?
No, he's one of his buddies.
Oh.
He's the one that's not T-Pain or...
Okay.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Try not to fall asleep.
Don't worry, I'll be here to tell you about all the good things in this movie. There's way more bad things. Don't get me wrong, it's not a good movie. But I was able to grab onto the good things this time.
All of it, because it's so boring. You fall asleep.
Alrighty.
I mean, I guess it's not the movie's fault. I took NyQuil before I watched it.
Well, that
Oh,
explains
yeah,
it.
make sure you bring that up once we get going. I thought we were
He
getting
just
close.
throws it over his head. It's like, what?
Well, if I
What
remember
about the
correctly-
moment?
If I remember correctly, the guy's driving. I think he just grabs the handle and whips the bike, and the guy just doesn't stop.
You see my beauty mark?
The church one, or?
No. Oh, yeah, look at my leg.
Yeah,
Oh.
I saw him earlier when you were walking through.
Okay, question. Is there an actual Halls in there? Or do you have one?
That was a bad throw.
It really was.
I feel like there was something I had.
Before I interrupted with my potty break.
Yeah.
Stupid bladder.
Yeah, really.